Hello, so today we're starting a new series. If you've seen my Instagram recently, then you probably have seen my celestial pirate look. This one right here. So that's what we're going to be covering today and for the next few videos. I made this costume for the Virginia Renfaire a couple weeks ago to go with Big Pirate Crew as like a last send off for my friend Sel before they moved to Japan. They're now in Japan safely with their cats and their wife. So yay for Sel, go watch their Japan videos. So the main prompt for this group was just celestial pirate. Been playing around with AI images a little bit and like, I don't know, there's a lot of issues with the ethics of AI, which I totally understand, which I'm still kind of a little bit in a gray area of. I've been using a lot as a tool for like quick renderings and trying to just visualize my ideas, but I definitely don't want to use them as an end product that I could make money off of or whatever. So if you have opinions on that, then please let me know. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out and navigate that myself, but that's kind of where this started, is like with these little AI pictures that I made. From that, I kind of aggregated all of that and made my own sketch, and that was meant to go along with this big group. So working from the inside out, I'm going to be covering the pirate blouse today, as well as some arm accessories. Shimmery, like cropped blouse. I didn't have enough fabric to do a full blouse, so that's why I went with cropped. And then some armbands and like a little like bow upper armband accessory, which was really cute. So I'm really excited to show you guys how I made this. This is not an in-depth tutorial though, so if you are looking for a more in-depth tutorial on how to sew and like a lot of the sewing techniques I use, you can check out today's sponsor, Craftsy. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative, with instructional videos taught by professional instructors who walk you through step-by-step demonstrations and expert tips and tricks. One of the classes that stood out to me and gave some great guidance for my celestial pirate costume is Smart Techniques for Fabulous Fabrics, Velvet, Shears, and More by Kenneth D. King. This class teaches you how to sew with specialty fabrics so you can sew more accurately and precisely while also not damaging the fabric. Fabrics like velvets in particular are very easy to damage, and this class shows the different tools, materials, and techniques necessary to prevent any marring or slipping. The blouse that I'm working on in this video is made of a silk chiffon with a metallic thread, so it is both a sheer and a metallic. So the techniques covered in this class really help to achieve a clean and professional product. This class covers a ton of techniques that I actually learned in grad school for costume production, plus a bunch of extras that I'm really excited to try out in my future projects. I've also recently inherited a loom and a ton of yarn from my friend I mentioned earlier who just moved to Japan. So I'm really excited to try out some of the new classes regarding like knitting and weaving, like the class floor loom weaving and jump into knitting, because I can never have enough crafting hobbies. The jump into knitting especially looked really cute with the mother-daughter combo, and I'm really excited to follow along with that class with some of the new yarn I've got. Craftsy is always creating new classes to help you stay inspired, like the Bold Baking Academy new arrivals and new sewing classes like copying, ready to wear, and pressing tools. As a member, you have access to Craftsy's live streaming tutorials where expert instructors share tips, answer questions, and engage with the Craftsy community in real time. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in my description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. If you do want a more thorough explanation of some of the techniques I use, then you can check them out. If you are ready to keep going on and want to just see the montage of making this costume, then let's get over to looking at the sketch and cutting out fabric. Alright, I did some math to try to figure this out. Each sleeve on the Maresca shirt that I have, it's just this like big gathered shirt. The length of the sleeve is 24 inches. This is a little bit shorter than I want it to be, so I'm adding 3 inches. It does use the whole width of the fabric. I do not have enough fabric to use the whole width of the fabric and get 2 sleeves and also 2 body pieces out of there. What I'm going to do instead is have that. I think it should still be enough because this fabric is wider than whatever fabric they used for the Maresca shirt. Body's going to be 10 inches in total length. With that, I want a 7/8 inch ruffle, and I want 3 drawstring channels. So with a ruffle, the 3 channels, and then seam allowance on both the top and the bottom, that comes out to 13 inches. Sleeve will be 30 inches, and I think that should work, hopefully. So that's what I'm going to cut now. For the wrist cuffs, I'm going to cover them in like star beads and some embroidery and stuff. I was really inspired by this Instagram user. I found their stuff on Instagram. They do a lot of really cool embroidery projects that also incorporate multimedia like beads and stuff. So I thought that that would look really cool on these wrist cuffs and also on the bodice. So I'm going to be doing that to match. But yeah, I saw it and I liked it, so I decided to do it. And you should go check out their Instagram because it's very cool. I'm just going to be using a bunch of star beads that I already have. I have a lot of these little gold plastic star beads, as well as some round beads and some faceted beads. So I'm just going to use a bunch of those and it'll be great. really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are excited to see the rest of this costume. This was just the first part. We also have to go over the bodice and the skirt as well. But let's talk about the shirt and the accessories that I've shown in this video and what I thought went well and what I did not think went so well. There's not that much that I didn't think went well, so I'm actually going to start with the things that did not go well, since I think there are fewer of them. So the only two things that I think I would change about this costume, one was just a product of the constraints of how much fabric I had. If I'd had a little bit more of the fabric that I was using for the blouse, I probably would have made the body part just a tiny bit longer. As it is, it does ride up. I do need to be wearing like pasties and a bodice, obviously. Like, this is not just a standalone kind of blouse, so that does ride up a little bit. It is a little bit hard to kind of tug it down throughout the day and can be a little bit uncomfortable, but I only had so much fabric. So we were just working with what we could. I could have done it so that it didn't have as much fold over for the ruffle and the channels and everything. I had a specific look that I really wanted to achieve, and this is fabric I've been holding on to for like years at this point. I really wanted to do something special with it, so I wanted to really achieve the look that I wanted. So even though it's not the most practical of clothing items, I am really happy with how it turned out, because I was able to work with how much fabric I had. I didn't have to buy more, so that's always good. And it looks pretty much exactly how I wanted it to look. The other thing that I would have changed, I realized after I had made them and was working on everything else and started trying stuff on, the wristbands that I made, they're a little bit tight and they're a little bit smaller than I wanted. I think when I was actually like planning out this costume, I wanted them to be kind of larger and like to go, I don't know, like a third of the way down my forearm rather than just like this part. Plus, with the bulk of all of the fabric underneath and like how much fabric were in the layers of this, like stretch velvet is obviously a pretty thick fabric. Plus the layer of linen interfacing that was in there, all of that got pretty bulky, which meant that the wristband itself ended up kind of like tighter than I wanted it. So it wasn't the most comfortable, and it did end up kind of acting like a sweatband throughout the day. Not great when it's like 9 degrees outside. Maybe I will remake those so that they're kind of like larger wristbands, but I think once I had the whole costume on and like was wearing it throughout the day, aside from like the kind of sweaty discomfort of it being a little tight on my wrist, the length I think I actually liked better than if I had made it really big, so that did work out. So if I change it, it'll just be to like make them a little bit wider so that they're not so tight on my wrist. But everything else I think turned out really well. I'm really happy with the embroidery that I did on the wrist cuffs. I think it's so cute. I got a lot of people asking me on Instagram and on TikTok where I got the fabric from. It's just a plain blue stretch velvet. I think I got it from Blue Moon Fabrics in Los Angeles, and I just embroidered onto it myself with the beads and like some gold embroidery thread. So if you have a plain blue fabric, you can just do it yourself too. So I'm really happy with how the wrist cuffs turned out, even if they are not the most comfortable to wear in super hot weather. The little bow armband as well I thought was really cute. I kind of just went into that without a real plan, and I was hoping it would work out, so I think it turned out really well for not having a plan. I experimented a couple of times with different styles for the bow. Like, I did make tubes out of the blue satin that I turned inside out and tried to make them look more polished, but I decided I didn't like that. I liked it a little bit more roughed up. So what I really just ended up doing was tearing strips of fabric and like tying those into bows, and then I stitched that directly onto the armband and just stuck some coins on it. So those accessories were like pretty simple, very easy to make, and didn't take very much time. The blouse itself I'm also very happy with. I'm really happy with all the finishing I did on it because it was a pretty simple piece, and because the fabric is something that I've held on to for so long and I wanted it to like be really nice, I took my time with the finishing. So I did French seams, I like hemmed it really nicely. It's also a fabric that frays a lot because it is a silk chiffon, so I knew that I would have to treat it really nicely in order for it to last and also for it to like look nice. So there's not that much to say about the blouse because it was a pretty straightforward concept. I am happy with how I lengthened the arms. I think that looks good. I really like the little ruffle cuffs that I made as part of it. I think all the binding that I did was very clean. I'm very proud of myself for that. Good job, past Minji. And all of the channels, I like really had a specific look that I wanted to get with the 3 channels for the drawstrings, and it turned out pretty much exactly how I wanted it to. The only thing that I might change if I had more fabric is that I would have made the drawstrings out of the same fabric that I made the entire blouse out of, but again, I was working with a constraint of how much fabric I had, so I ended up just making it out of something that was kind of similar, and I think it looks fine. Like, it doesn't bother me that it is a different fabric, and it looks coordinating enough that it looks like it's meant to be. So it doesn't look like an accident, which is always the goal, so that worked out. It was not a super hot outfit. I was really concerned that it being a silk chiffon, it was going to be really sweaty and uncomfortable, but it really was not too bad. Like, I was uncomfortable for sure, but it was also really hot generally, and the sun was just kind of beating down, so I was going to be uncomfortable regardless. I don't think that the top being silk really contributed anything extra to being uncomfortable, so that's always good. Can't say the same for the wristbands. They really just acted like sweatbands, so those weren't the most comfortable, but what are you gonna do? Suffer for the fashion. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, if I didn't cover everything, for one, you should definitely check out that class that I mentioned on Craftsy. It covers a lot of techniques that I go over and that I use in pretty much all of my projects that use any fabrics like velvets or sheers or metallics or anything. That is a really good class that covers those techniques in a level of depth that I have not covered myself on this channel. So that's a really good resource. If you have any questions specifically about the construction or the cutting or anything that I did in this video, I am happy to answer it. Please ask in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out and lets me know to keep making videos and what you guys like in videos. And if you want to see the rest of this series, there's going to be 2 other videos covering the bodice and the skirt, and just generally more Renfaire videos, more sewing videos, vlogs, just lots of fun fantasy and fantasy adjacent kind of stuff. Then please subscribe. And thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. Again, the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description of this video will get a 1-year premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. So it's a really good deal, and it's got great classes, so I really recommend checking them out. And I hope you guys like this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!